to die. I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
1 + 1 is?
2.
2.
2. And the Earth is?
Flat. Flat.
The Earth is flat.
My reality, my senses tell me that the Earth is flat and stationary.
1, 2, 3. We're not crazy!
California man is getting ready to launch himself into the air in a homemade rocket to prove that the Earth is flat. This is Mike Hughes right here and that rocket. He says it will send him into the air at about 500 miles an hour tomorrow. The group called Research Flat Earth is sponsoring this trip.
I saw a billboard on the internet, Research Flat Earth. I think it was in Denver, maybe Philadelphia, and it got a lot of publicity. And I contacted the people, and I thought, well, you know, I believe in Flat Earth. Maybe they'll be interested in this. We started the conversation. It led to a GoFundMe, and I finally received, I guess, all the money. I've received, I think, $7,000 over like a 6-month period. And I quit in the 11th grade 3 different times because I was fed up with it back in 1972 to 74. I was just done with it. And if I'd known then what I know now, I would have quit after the 6th grade. It's just absolute bullshit, all of it.
The 61-year-old is planning to launch himself in a homemade rocket and reach 1,800 feet high in his scrap metal contraption and fly through the air at 500 miles per hour above the Mojave Desert.
I'm ready. After they gave me the go sign, I said it for about 10, 15 seconds. I said, man, it's time to do it. But that was my worst nightmare. But I tell you one thing, I think the grace of somebody, that thing could have fired while I'm getting pulled out of it. I don't know, I think it's too much silicone, or I'm gonna say it for the 3rd time, it's either too much silicone holding it in, because you can't have it leaking, okay? Sometimes when these rockets heat up, the O-rings will expand, even if they're leaking, the O-rings will expand and it will stop the leak. Dude, I'm sorry to disappoint everyone. I did the best I can do. I manned up, I got in it, and I pulled the thing 3 times, or excuse me, 5 times.
1, 2, 3. We're not crazy!
The ancient Greeks noticed that from time to time, the Earth casts a shadow on the moon. This is a lunar eclipse, and that shadow is always curved. So the ancient Greeks knew that the Earth was a ball.
This is science. It's not something to toy with. It's not something to say, I choose not to believe equals MC squared. You don't have that option. When you have an established scientific emergent truth, it is true whether or not you believe in it.
I believe it's some kind of a star field firmament about 6,000 miles above us, and it appears to be a cymatic light field electromagnetic energy, not gravity at all. Gravity is a deception. The sun and the moon are these transcendental cymatic luminaries.
1, 2, 3. We're not crazy!
As far as I know, I'm the first guy in the whole world to make a working physical model of the flat Earth.
All these are for sale except this one, and that one got sold already. This one I had on the website for $575.
People who know me personally know that I am not a fool. So you start your journey at the Arctic, as far to the north as you can. Now notice, as I'm going south, I have to continue dipping the nose of my airplane in order to stay level with the ground. Now I'm going down into South America, continuing to dip down, and finally I get down here to Antarctica. And look at that, my airplane is upside down. You cannot refute that. Your airplane is upside down and your head is facing down. That's the simplest, irrefutable flat Earth proof.
So first off, north and south does not equal up and down. Due to gravity, down on a globe is the direction of the center of the globe. A 2nd grader would know this, dude. Even a kindergartner might know this. Was this seriously your irrefutable proof?
Mary, how long have you been a flat earther?
2 years.
And what do you think the best proofs are?
The best proof is that there's no curvature. You go to the horizon and there's absolutely no curvature. You do the formula, there's no curvature. There just is none.
Humans got their first measurements of the Earth's curve from a Greek mathematician, Eratosthenes. He had heard of a city in southern Egypt, where at noon on the summer solstice, the sun was directly overhead, and the buildings cast no shadows. But at the same time in the northern city of Alexandria, The buildings did cast shadows, meaning the sun was at a different angle in the sky. On the day of the solstice, Eratosthenes stuck a stick in the ground in Alexandria and measured the angle of its shadow. Using the distance between the two cities, he was able to calculate the curvature of the Earth. You could actually perform the same experiment if you have a friend living a few miles away.
The Earth is indeed not spinning, not moving, and it's definitely flat.
What's odd is there are people who think Earth is flat.
Right.
But recognize that the moon is round. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and the sun are all spheres, but Earth is flat. Everything in the universe is either spheres or slight distortions of a sphere for some other thing that's happening to it. I mean, we can just see how the universe favors spheres. If you send a ship straight to the horizon, eventually it begins to disappear until it's no longer visible beyond your horizon.
Right.
And you should ask yourself, what kind of surface would produce that result?
What is your name?
Siri, pleased to meet you.
What do you think about flat Earth?
I think, therefore I am. But let's not put the cart before the horse.
If the world ain't flat, explain this. If Earth isn't flat, why are shoes like this? And not like this? The Flat Earth Society has members all around the globe. Say that again, but slowly.
The flat Earth would be a circular flat area surrounded by a field that is known as Antarctica.
You believe the Antarctica is an ice wall, is that correct?
True, yeah. I haven't personally been to the ice wall. I've heard people have been turned around at gunpoint for trying to investigate the ice wall independently. I know water doesn't fall off because there's an ice wall on our theory. So, I mean, how about, how does water stick to a ball that spins 1,000 miles an hour?
Gravity.
But gravity is nothing more than a theory.
Because there's got to be some force that keeps us on the ground, right?
Well, yeah, there is. It's called density. So if Earth's moving 1,000 miles an hour around the equator...
But you're moving with it.
So there's no Coriolis?
No, think about being on a train going like 60 miles an hour. Do you feel slammed against the back like this, or do you just move with the train and it doesn't even really feel like it's moving?
They've never seen a real picture from space, ever. All ISS footage is fake. Everything is fake. We live on a flat, motionless plane, and you've all been deceived. Satellites aren't real. None of them.
Professor Mike Massimino spent more than 20 days in space and worked on the Hubble telescope.
So when you looked at the planet, what did it look like?
It looks round, folks. It is round. My eyewitness account, and I looked at it as much as I could. It is round.
The whole globe Earth model, in my opinion, it wasn't devised by men. It was devised by the devil who wants to deceive everyone.
There's no way you can get a spinning heliocentric globe out of anything in the Bible.
Are you just skeptical of everything?
I have become skeptical of everything, and I think rightfully so.
I don't need you to believe me. I'm just here to plant the seed that the grand global conspiracy is that the Earth's flat.
There's some pretty cool pictures out there in space. There's a lot of balls going on, not much flatness.
Do you feel yourself spinning, wobbling, gyrating? No, I'm pretty rock solid.
We all agree on is that we don't live on a spinning ball flying through infinite space.
Go to a seashore and figure out why you can't, if you live on the East Coast, figure out why you can't see Spain from the East Coast of North America.
So I named this one Hidden Lands Beyond, because some of us think that there's other lands that they're hiding from us. And that could be very well that they've discovered these other lands and they just don't want us to know about it. I mean, we might want to go there, repopulate it.
Rapper B.O.B., perhaps you know him for hits like Airplanes and Nothing on You.
That airplanes in the night sky like shooting stars. I can really use a wish right now, wish right now, wish right now. Can we pretend that airplanes in the night sky like shooting stars? I can really use a wish right now, wish right now, wish right now.
He firmly believes that the Earth is flat. He is on a Twitter mission to prove it, and he says he has photographic evidence and that we've been fooled all this time.
Now B.O.B. is sparking things up back again, starting a GoFundMe page in order for him to send a satellite into space and prove once and for all that the globe is not a globe.
I'm starting this GoFundMe because I would like to send one, if not multiple, satellites as far into space as I can, or into orbit as I can, to find the curve. I'm looking for the curve.
Listen, B.O.B., once and for all. Small sections of large curved surfaces will always look flat to little creatures that crawl upon it. It's just a symptom of a larger problem. There's a growing anti-intellectual strain in this country. It may be the beginning of the end of our informed democracy. And by the way, this is called gravity.
We have a pendulum which is swinging roughly with a period of 1 second and a length of 1 meter in a vacuum chamber, and you can derive from the length and from the swing period the value of gravity very, very precisely. And that was the reference value which we used for nearly 70 years in the last century.
Speaking about Earth, we use the word globe, or a poetic expression, terrestrial ball, even though it would be much more precise to call it a less common word, geoid, i.e. something similar to Earth, all because our planet is slightly widened at the equator and flattened at the poles, and its surface is constantly changing due to the continuous motion of tectonic plates and erosion. So, the shape of the Earth is pretty different from the shape of a football or a billiard ball, as you might have imagined. It's more like an irregular potato or a very strange pear, depending on your fantasy.
This is the beginning. This will be put in the history books. Today, mark that date, because whether it's the next generation or the generation afterwards, they will remember this date. People are taking notice, something is going on. This has got to a point now where it's becoming real.
There it is. 70,000 feet. Oh man, I've got that curvature of the horizon thing. Look at that, that's perfect. Yeah. This looks fantastic. Oh, it's lovely. You get bored of looking at that, surely not.
Also, the sun and moon rising and setting beyond the horizon perfectly shows that the Earth is curved, and they are much easier to see than distant boats. They both emerge from or slide behind the horizon exactly as we expect on a globe, and not at all what we would see on a flat Earth.
So as far as what's underneath this, I don't know, could be this thickness. It doesn't even have to be that thick because we can only drill down 8 miles. Heck, if this is only 50 miles thick, we don't know. So it could be this sort of dimension.
This model, of course, neglects the fact that such a planet shape would be impossible. Anything as massive as the Earth, shaped like a flat disk, would, under its own gravity, naturally collapse back into a ball. This is why in outer space, everything more than a few hundred miles in diameter is round.
There are many pictures online of the Toronto skyline, viewed from Niagara-on-the-Lake, New York, 30 miles away. With the metabunk calculation, we see that 486 feet of the tower, or about 26% of it, should be hidden behind the curve of the Earth from that distance. And this is exactly what we see, as you can easily tell when compared to an image of the full tower at the same scale. But there are other observations you can make yourself that all perfectly fit the heliocentric globe model when you understand it.
The fact that there's a rise of flat earthers is evidence we live in a country with a failed educational system.
Ooh, that one hurt.
Our system needs to train you not only what to know, but how to think about information and knowledge and evidence. If we don't have that kind of training, you'd run around believe anything.
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 Airplanes in the night sky like shooting stars. I can really use a wish right now. Wish right now. Wish right now. Can we pretend that airplanes in the night sky like shooting stars? I can really use a wish right now. Wish right